hat and lots of expired printer ink. Maybe we should try and repurpose both to turn this into an actual piece of art. I've been putting this off because I just know it's going to be a huge mess. I've got gloves. This is printer ink we're talking about, and when printer ink gets on your skin, it doesn't come off for days. So we need to be prepared. I have a ton of these sheets. They are kind of waterproof. They are the backing from cold laminate, and I'm hoping that this will just catch anything that might go through the sheet. And one big messy sheet. Sorry, I know it's not pretty, but it's needed. These are all of the bottles I have. I got a secondhand printer, and with that, we got a ton of brand new expired ink. Like, this one is 2021. I think these are about 2020. Some people have said that it's absolutely fine to use them, but it was in the printer, and it literally printed things brown. It was so muddy, it was so dark. Didn't trust it. I tipped out the entire printer to get rid of all of that ink, and now it's working perfectly. You might have seen that in the Creating an Art Shop video. I have a shop now. There's a lot of ink here, and I didn't want to waste them. These are all brand new as well. Like, that would be a waste. I don't know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna reuse all of these expired printer inks on that hat. This is obviously not a genuine Calvin Klein hat. This is from Forteventura, but you can see it just got really dirty. Not gonna be getting a white hat again. This is why I generally don't get white things. My Converse did the exact same. We're gonna cover it. Normally when it comes to things like this, I would do a sketch. I don't know if the ink is gonna spread. I don't know if it's gonna come out nicely. Don't know what's gonna happen, so we're just gonna wing it. And I actually now have fabric glue and fabric medium. So hopefully once we've colored the entire thing in, we might be able to add a bit of a pattern on it. Get a piece of kitchen roll ready. And we're gonna move this a little bit further away from me. Should we try yellow first? I think that'll be the most forgiving color. Let's see what happens. Let's see how much it spreads. Oh, okay, so it's not spread like crazy, but it pours really easily. I wonder if it blends at all. I actually don't mind both of these colors. I think they look pretty cool. It's not really blended. Let's try some blue. The yellow is quite warm, so I'm not sure if it will actually make green. Oh, that is darker than I was thinking. Yeah, the blue is pretty dark. My idea is to add white line work later on. Doesn't really blend. The yellow is coming out really easily. There must be loads in here. No, that's got all muddy. Okay, we need to be careful with the yellow and the blue then. A lot more yellow, I think. Oh, this is so difficult to control. Oh, this is so strange. So it's not quite the tie-dye that I was thinking it would be. Oh, I do like this yellow, but maybe not with the blue because it looks like a bit of an ugly green. Oh no, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just gonna go with the flow. A lot of random messes though, so I don't know how we're gonna pull it together. I knew this was gonna be messy. I think when it comes to painting on top, we'll try and disguise some of this. It's like a bit muddy as well in certain places. Should I dye that? Yeah, I probably should, shouldn't I? Try and color some of those weird shades a little bit more pink. Okay, that's one done. That's all the blue gone. I might try and get some of these white areas a little bit as well, because they're probably gonna stand out later on. Okay, I do have thoughts, but we're gonna have to wait and trust the process on this one. Unfortunately, a lot of the yellow kind of disappeared, but I'm thinking if we go over with white paint mixed in with the medium, that will really brighten it up, hopefully. But yeah, this is how it's looking so far. Apparently, if we leave it for a couple of days, it will be dry and waterproof. I want to test that before we move on because I don't want all of this ink falling on my head on a sunny day. Really good progress on the pink and almost all of the yellow too, so that's really good. Okay, I'm going to pop it to the side and leave it to dry. We'll come back to this in a bit. Okay, the internet said that the hat would be fully dry and you can test it by putting it in water. But this is the first rinse and this is the second rinse. Look how much is coming off. This is crazy. What are we gonna do? Another rinse, I guess? At this rate, I don't know if we're gonna have any color left on this thing. Okay, let's put it to one side and let it dry. Maybe today will be different. Or maybe not. There is less colour coming off of the hat, but this is worse than hair dye at this point. Like, look how much is coming off. The water is less colourful when I rinse my pink hair, honestly. But that's it, I've given up. Cold water makes it run reasonably clear, so we are gonna hope for the best. You saw those marks. We have to cover them up. Obviously, we're not going to be able to use acrylic markers because I need to mix the paint with fabric medium to be able to paint on fabric. But we've got the Daily Doodle Diary out and all of this bleed through to test a design. The idea I have in mind is to do some loose line work, some leaves, some plants, so that the color will show through. Kind of like this situation we got going. Here it is, here is the situation. There are random marks all over this hat and I do not know where they've come from. So we need the fabric medium, we need the acrylics, obviously a paintbrush. We need to cover these marks up. The hat's falling apart a little bit, I don't know what that's about. Maybe it was all of the rigorous rinsing that we did. It wasn't that hot, okay? But it has faded. This hat is much lighter. I don't know where this splodge has come from. There are some really weird marks. And we're going for this paintbrush instead because that one is not working. Like, look how chunky that line is. And when I tell you this was insanely difficult, you would think that we are just painting plants on a hat. Simple, it's line work. I don't know what happened. This was really difficult. I just could not get a smooth line. Even with this thinner paintbrush, it's not working. I don't know if it's the texture of the hat or the fabric medium being a little bit sticky and weird. I don't know what happened, but you can see that the lines are just not it. But anyway, we are persevering. We have to at this point. A part of me was thinking, what are we doing? Is there any point even continuing? But considering this is the design, yes, I think you need to continue. I think it would look really weird if you just had 1 or 2 leaves, especially because we're working in sections. That would look very strange. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at this now thinking the camera maybe does it more justice than in real life. You can see the lines are wobbly, but in real life, honestly, it looks awful. It looks trash. I had this lovely idea in mind, and the most frustrating part is I think I could have achieved this idea if I was using acrylic brush markers. A nice white acrylic brush marker. Mine has exploded, so I couldn't, but in theory, that would have been so much easier than this. It's still on a textured hat, so we don't completely know, but something about this paintbrush was just very difficult. The whole situation is so difficult. But we have to remember the aim of this project is to create something that looks nice, or decent at least. This hat is obviously a genuine fake. I would not be doing this to an actual Calvin Klein hat. And it was covered in, I can't even say dirt, it was like sand. It just kind of stained the entire thing. Looked dreadful. This isn't exactly the tie-dye look I was going for, but it's fun. It's colourful, it's very green. I'm not sure how that happened. I think if I was going to do this again, if anyone out there was deciding to also use expired printer ink on fabric, if there's any singular person out there, the top tip that I would give is to mostly use yellow everywhere. Blue is the darkest colour and that just took over everything. In a lot of ways, I am glad that this hat faded. Didn't expect it to fade this much, but you saw how bright it was before the rinse. Absolutely crazy. Oh, my gal Susie's put out a new video to keep us company. This is a side note, but kind of related. I have been absolutely loving the Create This book recently. The stakes are so much lower. The prompts make you more creative. It feels like you can just have fun and create what you like. And to be honest, I think it's been a huge help for my own creativity and creating original art. Funnily enough, for a long while, I was so scared of creating my own original pieces from scratch. So it's been a huge help. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the videos too. Well, this hat is done for now. And I guess we need to fix it somehow. This brush, it's an angled straight brush. It's very flat. I think it'll work. We need all the lights on because look how dark it is outside. The color combo is dark. Reds, blues, purples, and funnily enough, we actually need black. I don't normally use black, but we actually need a muted color. We need to create something that isn't super vibrant, that isn't going to clash with what's already down. So black is pretty perfect for that. And that might be the only time I will ever say that. But it's working. Well, in theory. I don't know if it's actually working because again, the line work is very shaky. The texture is fighting against us, okay? We're adding shadow. We need to make it less obvious that the line work is a little bit dodgy. We can't make it look perfect. We can't make it smoother. So we have to adapt. This decision was made on the spot. We don't have a sketch that covers this. We don't have a test run. We are making it up as we go. We need to make the awful line work look intentional. And how do we do that? Well, we're mixing up several different variations of a dark tone and adding some loose shadow, a loose edge around the white. And hopefully this will give a painterly look. It will look more like a sketch. It will look more like it's been hand painted as opposed to trying to make neat line work that almost looks printed. We can't do that. That's not working. We need to adapt, and the route we're going is to make it look more handmade. I think. Maybe. Bear with me on this, okay? We've had a lot of trust the process projects recently, and this is another one. I'm sorry I'm making you go through it with me. We had the plushie, Mariah Elizabeth's Cupid, that we turned into Rapunzel by adding fabric and cotton wool and hairbands, and it kind of worked. And then we got an olive oil bottle, messed about with clay, went to IKEA, and kind of turned it into a vase. It's been a crazy few weeks, and this is another one, but I think the kind of janky line work is working. It now looks sketchy. Unique, you could say, because I'm sure there's nothing else like this. Why would there be? Why would this be the color choice? There can't be. There can't be anything else like this. Oh, but we're not done. We need another paintbrush. Oh yeah, that's Cupid, by the way. That's the Cupid we turned into Rapunzel. Looking fabulous on the shelf. We're using white. We're making various pastel tones because we have the initial white line work, which technically now is just a highlight. That's turned into a highlight. We've got the darker edges, which are now our shadows. So in order to potentially pull this together, we need a mid-tone. Lots of slightly different colors too, just to make it a little bit more intentional. This is the route we're going. We're making it up on the spot. And I think we're going to need some extra color to really pull this together because it's kind of clashing just a little bit. We are using purple on like yellow, orange, red, green, blue, everything mixed together. Except the original hat doesn't actually have purple. So we need yellow. The hat is mostly yellow. In order to make this more cohesive, we need to add yellow. This is very bright. We need to add it to all of these plants to make it blend a little bit more in with the actual hat itself. Hopefully. Make it a little bit more cohesive. This route was not planned. None of it was planned. But a lot of the time with art projects, I think it's best to just go with the flow and adapt and see where it takes you. And with that, it's done. This has been another crazy project. Why don't you subscribe? And I'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.